Hello, Stephen.
Hello, fire ahead. Yes, the person himself, yes.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Locked down in the middle of the English countryside.
You did get stuck in the UK, didn't you?
Well, it's happened twice.
Right.
I came over on the 14th of March, and on the 15th of March they had lockdown, and I didn't get back to Paris till June. And this time I'm over, and I was meant to go back on the 5th of November, and they locked down 5th of November. My train, I couldn't take my train, couldn't leave, and now I'm going back on the 9th of December. So it's okay. Well, I live in Paris, but I now live in England most of the time at the moment. So,
right, but you have plans to go back to your home.
Yes, home. Yes, definitely. I've got lots to do and lots of people to see, and lots of projects to finish, and I'm hoping I'll be able to do that as soon as I get back to Paris. So,
which is,
but I love.
No, you carry on.
No, carry on.
Which is, we're talking about Paris. This kind of small mess at the moment, isn't it? I know. Well, it is. Strictly following, but
I'm following everything. I'm following everything at the moment. My daughter was the campaign chief for the mayor of the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th arrondissement in Paris. She ran his campaign right. to elect. So yeah, my daughter's in the thick of it, and so I just say, I follow it really. Well, I follow France very, I earn my living there. I've lived there for 30 years.
Right. What's the political inclination of the mayor your daughter supports? He's
socialist, green and socialist.
Right. Oh, fantastic. So
he's a wonderful, wonderful man. He's a wonderful man called Ariel Weil, and he's the mayor of the Paris Centre, and he's wonderful. He's a lovely guy.
Right. So you following the protests that are happening right now?
Yeah. I'm just, it's just the same as everywhere all over the world. I think that Chile have had their turn and have always had their turn. Brazil will have their turn. The Americans have suddenly woken up and found out that Trump's a crook and whatever, everybody realizes Johnson and the government here are a bunch of fools who are just ripping the country off for as much money as possible. I mean, everybody's, it's happening. Either they'll accept it meekly or mildly, or they'll fight. And the French are very good at fighting. They do love a good strike, and they really do love getting involved in their demonstrations. Great, I like that.
Right. And the protests are essentially against Macron and the bill to prohibit the publication of images taken of police officers. Is that correct? Yes,
that's right. Yeah, and I mean it's sort of like, sorry, if they're doing their job and they're doing it properly, what does it matter? But it's a no-brainer. It's a no. They've got no defense of it. They're saying, oh, it shows how the police work. Well, yeah, shouldn't they be transparent? Aren't they paid by the taxes? I've paid tax in France for 30 years. I want to know what people are doing. It's a no-brainer. We all know it's just, we know when there's a dictatorship. We know, you don't, wherever you go in the world, whoever it's been, whether it's Putin in Russia or was Pinochet in Chile, or whether it was wherever you go, yeah, well, we know that's, a fascist or a dictatorship. We're not stupid. So yeah. I follow it and I understand it. I can't do anything about it at the moment, but I would have been there today on the march across France. I would have been there.
Explanation? Yeah. Would you normally be on the streets?
Well, I'd normally be out there protesting, and I'm walking and doing the things that, even if it's just out of support, there's a time when you just got to, But I'm not there, so I was for the Gilets jaunes. For the Gilets jaunes. I sort of, had my hand up with my gilet jaune on, and I was driving along across France going, well done, boys. And when they were saying, oh, we're really sorry, we have to stop you. And I go, don't worry, it's great. Don't worry about it. I'll wait.
There were claims that the right wing was sort of taking over the Gilets jaunes. Is that accurate at all?
Well, I don't know. How do you know? I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't believe Kennedy was shot by Lee Harvey Oswald, but I'm still not a conspiracy theorist. I think there is infiltration into any of the sort of popular movements by the police and by the powers that be, and because they want to know what's going on. It's sort of. I remember once my daughter went on holiday to Iran, and we then went. Pardon?
What year is that?
Oh, it was about 3 years ago. She went on a holiday to Iran, and then the following year, I took her on tour, of America with me when we went out with Adam Nass, who's a soul singer that I manage, in concert, and getting stopped by the American customs with this Iranian visa in her passport was quite something to see. But I said, don't worry, they'll let you in. They want to see if you meet up with anybody. They want to follow you, They're not going to stop you. They're not going to say, oh, you've been to Iran. They just go, oh, you've been to Iran. Why? Oh, right. And then they'll just let you in and follow you. That's what they do. And that's what these people who infiltrate the marches and infiltrate the protests do. They want to know what's going on. They want to see from the inside. They want to cause trouble and try and get popular opinion on their side. And
that's unfortunate.
But everybody,
as well. They infiltrate the protests. They break things. They create havoc in order to turn public opinion against the protest.
Of course, I mean, it's they just must think you're so dumb. The problem is so many people are so dumb, and people do accept it, and they're more worried about their 2 cars and their mortgage, and they're too worried about their flat screen TV and the comfort of their own. So they're just, I don't want anybody burning my cars. I don't want anybody protesting in my street. That's always been the way. I was a punk living in the squats in the early 80s in London. And we used to sit up on the roof watching the riots against Thatcher and the riots against, we were watching it all and, whatever. And it just seemed like, that's what happened.
Were you involved as a punk, or were you not part of the movement as a punk? Were you taking?
Well, I was really funny because when I was younger, I was very much into the music. So I was very, very much into doing music. I was too busy making records or touring or being in a band or rehearsing or writing to actually be out on the street. Of course, my songs were God Bless America and things like that, where I was taking a certain political stance or a certain point of view in what I was singing about or what I was playing about. But no, I was so involved there that I wasn't very, I had lots of friends who were anti-vivisection. I even knew vegans time and vegetarians. I'm a vegan now, but I mean, I knew at the time, hardcore sort of animal rights people and hardcore feminists. And I mean, seriously, dedicated sort of hunt saboteurs and things like that. But I was busy making music for my sins. Yeah.
Which is in a way a form of countering the whatever established, right?
Well, yeah, we didn't work. We just played in bands. We went off the radar. We lived in squats. We never paid rent. We'd have 20 people in a van and as much gear as we could get in. We'd play for £25 a night all over England, all over Europe. And that's what we did. And we didn't pay taxes. We didn't exist. We were just off the screen, and it was a great liberty, but I also sort of like, whoa, this is dangerous. This is it. Yeah, we just tried to have a different system, basically.
Yeah,
and it was the system. It was the system we lived in.
It was a parallel system. Yeah,
and it was easier to do in England than anywhere else. You couldn't have done it because you didn't really need money, not much anyway. I found that when I came to France, most people making music were not working class or poor. They were middle class because mummy and daddy could keep them and buy them nice guitars and buy them nice equipment and pay for their concerts.
Do you think you can see a reflection of that type of class divide in the music production in France in relation to the UK?
There are, on the most. When I switch on the radio and I'm in the car in England, I switch on the radio, I listen to the normal radio rubbish. It's quite good, actually. It's really good. It's really interesting stuff. And I find it, always, when I'm in France, I can't leave the radio on for more than 2 or 3 minutes before I go, unless I've got FIP on and they put something like Holden or something like Mocha or something like Super Bravo or something sort of reasonably interesting on. I'm sort of like going, sometimes I go, oh, this is great. Oh, actually, this is Mocha. Or Mocha the Break. There'll be something like that I'll go, oh, this is quite good, actually. Yeah. Or the Villejuif Underground. We're the Villejuif. I'll go, oh, this is cool, But it's very rare.
So would you say that happened because musical education for the general population in France is of much lower quality than the UK, or just the general?
Oh yeah, no. There's
music?
I was in a band in the 80s, and we did very well in France, and we did very well in Europe. And I remember in Italy, I think we were at number 3 in 1985, and in France we sold,
Texas, right?
Yeah, living in Texas, and in England, we played nice concerts, 300 or 400 people outside London. Maybe if we were really lucky, 500 or 600, 700, maybe more in London. But the reason we did so well in Europe was because the competition. Even though I don't believe in competition, in comparison, we were really good. In England, we weren't good. I always said, the reason we didn't make it wasn't because we weren't ambitious, it's because we weren't that good, actually. It's not false humility.
For the UK standards, but pretty good for European standards.
That's, if you like, that's putting it very simply, but it's kind of like that, right. And I'm pretty honest about it. I'm not... I used to go, why not? I don't care. I mean, if I'm going to play the Élysée Montmartre in Paris to 2,000 people, or I'm going to play to 200 people in Bolton, I'm really happy. Or 3,000 people in Florence at the Tenax in Italy. I'll play in Florence and I'll play in Paris. That's cool. That's what we did. So
such an interesting distinction between the access to free time and the development of music interest and the disparities between the UK and the rest of Europe.
Well, it was just the impression that I got. I found that when I came across working class or kids who were living in squats or living in, the sheds at the bottom of the gardens and not really having that much money and always blagging drinks or whatever, they were normally in the bands that were pretty cool. I remember I was the tour manager and manager of Holden at one time. Well, from when they did Chevrotine, I was their manager. And then when they did... Favorite. Well, I prefer...
All right.
I prefer the fourth one, but that's all right. Everybody has their little favourites. Yeah. And when I was I went on tour in Germany with them, and Armelle, who's the singer, who you know, of course, she was. They were doing a workshop in a German school as part of the tour, and they said to a young girl said to Armelle, "What would you advise anybody who wants to make a living or make great music or just do music really well?" And she said, "Get a really shit job. Get a job working in a bar, because you earn money and you live, but you go home and the thing you really want to do is make music." Yeah. And I found that brilliant. I just went, of course. And people like Armelle and people like Mocha they are so different to the majority of people who I've met in the music business in France. And not only that, they had Cristobal, who was just the most amazing musician, person, bassist, fabulous artist, a true 100% artist. And they had who I regard, God rest his soul because he's no longer with us, Pierre-Jean Grappin, who I regarded as was just one of my favorite drummers of all time. And I just thought, wow, you know, I know that you know Holden and you like them, but for me, they were without doubt the best French group of all time. No one comes close. I don't think they ever made a bad album. They never made a bad song. Everything that they did is great. And even now, when you go on to what they're doing now, Mocha with Midget and on his own, because I'm a very great fan of Claire as well, Armel with Super Bravo. It's really elegant, beautiful, well thought out, intègre music. It's really, I can listen to it time and time and time and time again. Most French acts, I would say 99.9%, I can't listen. I'm not even going to waste my time listening because there's so much great music, other great music that I haven't got time enough to listen to. And I really do love music.
It's interesting because the reason why I asked to speak to initially, before I saw the extent of your work in so many different areas, was because I don't know how we became friends online, but I think it was through a Mocha and because of that. But I just thought about interviewing him, and I realized that I don't know much about French music at all. I sat down to make notes, and I couldn't really picture what scene they were part of. And
they're not.
Apart from the names you mentioned, like Super Bravo and Miguel, which is everything that came out of Holden.
Yeah, I mean, there are other really. I mean, there are certain class things. I mean, there are you pick up on one or two artists in France, and if you sort of went, there's a girl called Jeanne Haddad, Jean Haddad, Jeanneadded, Jean Haddad. She's a kind of Annie Lennox, but she's kind of got a bit more. There's something about her and I put that in the Holden thing. There are the other. If Mocha plays for somebody. If he plays for an artist with any chance, it's going to be elegant and it's going to be beautiful and it's going to be quality because he has incredible taste. I was lucky to play with him myself when I played guitar for Swan. He was the other guitarist, and he came down. I don't know why he let me play. He was much too good for me to let me play in the same band. But that was lovely, and that was when we played for Swan. But he liked her, and it was a good act. It was good when he played for Alt, A-R-L-T, Sing Sing, and Louise. It's a really good project. It's a really good act. I remember seeing Rémi Poncet's group. I can never remember his name. Something Cheval. I'm always Cheval Fou or something. And Mocha's plays for that. And so there's that. I think the scene is. I always have this strange concept that if Mocha is playing for a band, I'm quite interested in listening to it, and it's kind of his scene. He's kind of developed his own French scene because he is by far the best guitarist I've ever known, not only in France, but most probably anywhere.
He's one of he's one of those very, very few musicians that you hear them on a record and you instinctively know that it's them. Their signature sound is so incredible. I mean, the only other person apart from the big ones and the obvious ones, the only other person that I can think of is Tony Allen. That you hear his drum playing. It's so obvious, Tony Allen. The same happens with Mock for me.
Yeah, of course. But whenever, I could most probably pick out a Mocha guitar. Mocha's most probably played on the Spaceman songs that I've done, that I've recorded. I think he's played on about easily 20, maybe even 25 of those songs.
Talk a little bit about Spaceman.
That's my sort of lo-fi project. It's and I'd never really properly released anything. And Return and Rescue label in Paris, which is run by Merin Jean, the Australian singer, and Etienne Tricard, who works at Baguette Publishing. And they got this label, and I'm working with a fabulous producer. She's a young bass player who plays bass for Adam Nass. That's how we all know each other. And I said, "Oh, you should do my album. I should release an album someday." And so she said, "Oh, okay. How many songs?" I said, 24. We'll do a double album, and and we'll just have fun. She's called Christelle Carnot. She's French. She goes by the name of Confuse, and she's in rap bands. She plays bass for Gene Added. She plays bass and does backing vocals for Adam Nass, records for him. But she's my sort of goddess. She's my muse. I do everything in Spaceman just to please her. Everything I write, everything I sing. If she doesn't like it, I put it straight in the bin. She's got to like it.
Yeah.
And she's a 30-year-old genius, and she's the wildest person in music I've ever met, and she's just so talented. And she's French, and she's really went along with this project, and she said, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's go mental." And she comes back at me and says, "Oh, I've thrown your guitar in the bin, and we've put piano on this, and we've done this, and I've put loads of echo. And is that okay?" And of course, it's always a million times better than when it started. So, and the whole idea was to do a double album, a double white album, which I will do 101 vinyls only, and then we'll give it away free.
Oh, fantastic.
That's the whole point, to do 101 vinyls, stamped, numbered. People will buy it, a double album, and it will make its money back. And then we just give it away afterwards. People can just have it.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And I thought, I'm just hoping that I finish it before I die. And I'm trying to convince everybody that if I do die, everybody's got to release it anyway. Which I think is kind of cute.
Would you say you'd be doing anything similar to that if it weren't for In Rainbows by Radiohead? And the approach.
I've actually very rarely listened to. I have listened to Radiohead.
Oh no, I don't mean in terms of I don't mean it musically. What I mean is in terms of.
No, I give everything away anyway. I once.
I guess it comes from the punk.
Well, yeah, no. I mean, Chrissy's bass that she plays, I gave to her. I've given 2 12 strings. I give all my guitars away. And when I finished, Merin said, "Oh, I really love your harmonium. I really love your Shruti box." I said, "Yeah, you can have it." I think, I'm not actually playing it that much. I've already written a song on it. That'll do. And I don't, when Swan signed her first record deal, I said, "Oh, you can keep my Guild." I don't know, old 1970s Guild.
I've seen that Guild, an acoustic Guild.
Yeah, I said you can have
the
that.
one that she plays on the filming that you did on the stairs.
Yeah, that's right. With Emma and Mocha and myself. Yeah. That was that's the Guild I gave her because she played it so much better than me, and she didn't have a good.
Brilliant. She's brilliant. I love how she's got 2 characters on that track in particular. That she starts with one character on her voice, and the third part of the song she turns into somebody else. Yeah, no, she was a great talent. The reason I love playing, I didn't want to play, you see. I was managing and tour managing, and I didn't really want to play music. And then when I met her, I sort of went, wow, it'd be like playing for the Velvet Underground. Yeah.
Oh, it's like having Nico. Great. Can I play like Lou Reed? Can I be a really bad guitarist in the corner? And they all went, yeah,
Can I
and then what? Pardon?
Can I please be in your band?
Yeah, I play really bad. Dun, 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 dun. dun, dun, dun. I was like that. That was me. I wanted to, and it was great because Mark really bought into that. He liked the fact that, it was like chalk and cheese.
Yeah.
On one side, there was a Rolls Royce, and on the other side, there was a bicycle, on guitar.
Really intricate and delicate guitars and a really rough lights.
Exactly. I was the sort of punk, sort of just hitting at anything moved, and the other side there was just this sort of genius doing whatever he wanted. It was beautiful, and it was one of my favourite times. I think playing live was. I liked Swan. I like being with Swan, but again, we come back to this guy Mocker.
Is he still part of the band?
No, Swan doesn't play. I think she still plays, but she doesn't tour. She had a child. She had a young boy. And,
I remember seeing her pregnant online.
Yeah, and she's. But I think she still sings. She still plays. I curated some shows. Well, I curated one show. I've still got a few more shows to do at the American Center of Arts and Culture in Paris, and we did it's called the American Icon Series, which I sort of got together with the Cultural Center, and we did one for Nina Simone, which was pretty cool. And this year,
with musicians doing covers.
Well, yeah, they want to do others. We're going to do the Velvet Underground and Billie Holiday this year in 2020, but we couldn't. They still want to do Billie Holiday, but as the act is going to be on Los Angeles, they said, Icon is, LA. And I said, well, Brian Wilson, the Beach Boys. Brian Wilson was born in LA. I mean, if you're going to do an American Icon and it's got to be LA based, that you could have done Etta James or Jim Morrison or whatever. But I think the Beach Boys would be a better. So I think we're going to do that. If we do concerts in 2021, I'll still do that. And Swan came and sang on the Nina Simone because she used to do Nina Simone songs in sound checks and rehearsals. She was really good. She's really, really good.
What track? What track did she do?
I have no idea. Two of the most obscure tracks I can. Right. I don't think there was a single Nina Simone song played that night that I knew. So, it's really cool. It's a cool thing to do. I like to do sort of lots of different things. I like to make videos. I'm very bad, but I like making videos, and I recently did one for a. Meryn Jean, the singer, she has a rap group as well called In Case of Fire. We've Chrissy, my producer, and they said, "Spaceman, will you make a video for us?" And I said, "Of course." Never having directed a video before, so I went down to Marseille and we filmed a rap video for them. And very Grandmaster Flash, very Sugar Hill Gang, very 1980s.
How do you approach camera work without having ever worked with it before?
I don't look into my camera. I just point.
Right.
And I had a very good director called Stéphane Barbard, who's a sort of a big name, and he helped on one camera, and we had two other guys who were actually cameramen and filmmakers themselves filming, and we also had Etienne, who's Meryn's manager, who was also he did some great filming because he didn't know what he was doing, so his film was beautiful. And everybody was saying, "You're not looking in your camera when you're filming." I said, "Yeah, I just kind of pointed. I know roughly what I'm doing." And in my mind, exactly what I wanted. I knew the whole thing from start to finish.
You wanted to set up the real scene and then point and shoot. Your work was in front of the lens.
Yeah, and I knew there'd be loads of accidents, and I knew there'd be loads of things we didn't get, but I just knew it would work. I just sort of went, yeah, I want everybody to be happy. I want to be really positive, ecological. It's an ecological girl power. I wanted no guys in it. Just the girls showing that they've got the power. It's their thing. It was really great. It was very sort of like, save this damn planet. Let's be proud of who we are. And I didn't want no guys in it, no posturing. It was just going to be really cool. And I wanted it in sort of Malibu colors, represent the sort of Los Angeles, Venice Beach, Malibu. I wanted it Baywatch, Sugar Hill Gang, Grandmaster Flash. Everybody proud to be in a video, really cool, really happy. Hey, Mom, look at me. You know, it had to be that sort of vibe. And I got it. You know, that should be coming. I don't know when it's coming out, but it should be coming out.
Why do I get an impression that you have a particular love for working with females?
I do. It's an incredible thing because
that's right.
Swan,
right? It's not an impression.
No, I managed Holden. Armel was the singer. I managed Superbus. Jenna Ash was the singer. Adam, well, he's mad. He's a lovely guy. He's mad. And I like mad people as well, you know. So, and I love Midget. I think they're the most amazing group. Claire. I know it's Mocha, but it's Claire as well. I'm very drawn to. I love Merrin. Merrin Jean is one of my favorite voices in the world today. Now that Amy's gone, I look towards Merrin Jean. The people that I love in the world
Amy
of music
Winehouse,
Amy Winehouse, of course. The people that I love, the singers, are basically Aldous Harding and Laura Marling. You know, Lana Del Rey.
How about Camille? Camille is the other French actor that I love.
I like her attitude and I like her concept. I'm just not too keen on the music, but I respect it. I sort of go, yeah, you're pretty.
I like one album in particular that is called Le Fil, which is a very album.
Yeah, it is, and she is. I've actually been on set with her when I was. Doing TV shows with groups that I looked after, and she is real. She's genuine. She's out there. She's slightly mad, which is a compliment for me. You know, and a lot of but it's really funny because Swan, in an interview that I did of her for television, somebody asked me to interview her for television or for a film as well. She said, "Oh, I like working with men."
Yeah, I saw that interview today.
Yeah, and she said of Rob Ellis, he likes working with women. Rob works with Marianne Faithfull, Anna Calvi, and I guess I'm much more comfortable. You know, my producer is the most beautiful. When I mean beautiful, I don't mean looking. I just mean wonderful, beautiful person, beautiful woman, and she's just. I kind of. Connect.
Where do you think that comes from? Where do you think that comes from? Did you have a close relationship with your mother?
No, I didn't at all. In fact, I was very much neglected and rejected. So maybe that's the eternal search, you know.
And that's why you went to school.
That's why I loved school. Yes,
is that not right? I read that today about you.
Home was a nightmare. Yeah, no, I went to school. I used to love school. I remember going to my secondary school. And I remember the very first day I went into the library, I saw all these books and I said, well, what's this? They said, it's a library. You can read these. I said, well, anyone?
Can you take it with you?
And I went, wow. I mean, that was it. I was off. You know, that was it. I just couldn't believe it was true. But it was really funny because I didn't come from a working class family. I came from a very, very, very poor family. And when very slums, you know, seriously slum family. And where this year, a short while ago, I published my very first book of poetry was published called A Guided Tour of Colchester. And that touches on the Colchester of the 60s and the 70s. Well, the 60s were my youth, really, very, very young child, very hard, very dirty, very sordid, and a lot of people who bought the book, but basically people from Colchester who said, yeah, it reminded us of a time, very naive, black and white world where things were simpler or seemed simpler and easier. And when they're all in lockdown, they're going, why isn't it like this? Yeah. And here we are communicating on the other side of the world via a satellite. I like both sides, and I like both sides. But it was, I I came from I put that upbringing into my book, into my writing. I very rarely put it into my songs, but I very rarely write a, and I very rarely
why avoid it in your songs? Is it does it not feel pretty? Is it not something that you don't?
I'm not very good when I
see.
You know, there's a woman that I love very much in my life, and I try and tell her that I go. When she complains, you never write about me. You never write a song for. I always go, yeah, because I'm happy. You know, I don't need to write. I don't need to express myself. I'm just living. You know, I'm living my life and I'm enjoying my life. I don't need to write. You know, I always find that when I'm depressed, and I went for a very bad depression a few years ago, I write really well. It's where the stuff. It's when it comes out. I feel that it's a kind of therapy.
I think I had a very different impression from you from your online persona. You seem to be a lot angrier behind your avatar than in person.
Yeah, because it's just words. This is part of the problem with not doing this. When people text me a lot, like 5 or 6 times, I phone them. I go, no, let's talk, please. I can't do this text. Yeah, cool. Let's talk. And it's the same.
Do you find you do the same online? You're like, it's a rant.
Well, yeah, because when you're texting or when you're online or when you write something, all you've got are words. You don't see the person. You don't hear the tone of the voice. You don't feel. But that's the reason why some people like Trump, people like Macron can say, no, that's not true, fake.
Yeah.
Tweet. I will Instagram and tweet. It's fake. They stole the election. It's just words, and people they take it the way they want to. When you actually see somebody, when you actually see Trump going, oh, yeah, it's fake, you just think, yeah, right, okay, fine, fair enough, mate. I'm not, Muppet, fine.
I'm not sure how interested you are into this, but I am a translator, and I think about words a lot, and this sets up what I'm going to say very nicely, in terms of thinking about words. Do you being a musician, I'm assuming you don't think or feel in speech, in words all the time. There's a lot of feeling, emotion that are not necessarily. But
listen, this is the beauty of words. Somebody once said to me, when they go, that lyric there is too simple. And I'm going, no, that's genius. They're going, no, words have to be, the French especially, it's got to be, and I go, okay, picture yourself on a boat on a river. One of the greatest opening lines of all time. It's so simple. Picture yourself on a boat on a river.
A delicate point for me. I live in the UK, contrary to what you thought initially. I live in Cambridge. Yeah. And
really, I'm a 45-minute drive.
Are you in Colchester?
I'm in Wethersfield. I'm near Sudbury. So you just cut across the Cambridge.
I'm originally from Brazil, as you may have noticed from my weird name and surname.
No, I got it.
Our conversations as well. But from the age of 8 years old, I had a friend who had a vinyl collection of the Beatles, and I got obsessed with him, and I started learning English with Please Please Me and reading the lyrics of Love Love Me Do at the age of 8.
Yeah,
and
great.
I copied all the records into tapes. So at that time, I had a whole collection, and I got obsessed with that. And that essentially brought me to the UK.
Well, somebody asked me once in France when I was in the band touring, did the Beatles influence you? And I said, well, no, the Beatles were part of my life. When, Paul McCartney bought a new Mini, he was on television. It was on the news. We lived and breathed the Beatles. They didn't influence us. It was a texture of our life.
They were a
texture of your everyday life. Yeah, but you understand that. It was just you. It was just like,
I can't understand.
Well, it's like, the boy next door has broken a window, or John Lennon has just bought a new suit. It was the same thing. It was just part of your life. And the music, it was like, kid walking across the playground. She loves you, yeah. Just singing away like that. No one went, the Beatles. It didn't. It was just somebody singing. It was just part of one of the sounds that you took for granted.
It was the music. The music.
It was just part of the texture of life. You didn't actually, and it's really funny because when people talk about simple lyrics, there's so much implication in the lyrics of the Beatles. They state what is sometimes the complete obvious. Sometimes it's,
sometimes very naughty.
Of course, but that doesn't matter.
I'll tell you a naughty one. She was just 17. You know what I mean? That's so cheeky. You wouldn't be allowed today.
Of course it wouldn't. But there again, when you're listening to Chuck Berry, Jerry Lee Lewis, who married his cousin who was 13 or 15, I don't know, 13, yeah. It's sort of like... Presley. It was like, wow, it's just like a complete and totally, different place, different
planet.
A different planet, basically, and we don't understand that. We just, that's weird, So
how old were you when at what age did you experience the Beatles while they were active?
I remember Victor Bell when I was about 6 years old, so it would have been 1964, singing She Loves Me, yeah, walking across the playground. I mean, I remember distinctly listening to the Beatles at that time on the radio. I had a friend.
You were a teenager around 1970 when they broke up.
I was 12 when they broke up.
Right. Yeah.
So I was 12 when they broke up. Yeah. And I was my great love, apart from the Beatles. I mean, I love the Beatles, but my great love, even above the Beatles, I would say, would be Bowie. And Bowie has always been. When he died, I just played a Bowie video every day on my Facebook, a different one every day for 69 days. And I didn't say anything, I didn't do anything. I just went, that's it. That's what it means. And because I remember in my teenage years when I was 13, 14, a little ITTB radio that I used to listen to Radio Caroline on. There was a pirate station out in the North Sea that used to play the good records, and I used to listen to it every night walking around Colchester in the dark and the street lamps, and a very romantic sort of teenager listening to his radio, and then Life on Mars had come on, and I'd go, oh God, yeah, oh yeah, well, I so identify. I didn't have nothing to do. It just was another voice from another planet that sort of saved me and made me dream about, rock and roll.
In what way did it save you?
Pardon? It saved me because it gave me. It saved me because I was from a very poor family. I only had the right to know my place, to know who I was, to tip my cap to people and go, yes, sir, no, sir. And I was, and David Bowie said, no. And if you like, you can wear makeup. And if you like, you can wear glitter. And if you like, you can kiss boys. And I went, yes, great.
Like a freeing actor.
Yeah, and it was sort of like, right, and I started wearing makeup and I started wearing jewelry, and it wouldn't be long before I started dyeing my hair. And, at 15, I was working in a gay club as a waiter and a barman. I wasn't allowed to, totally illegal. And it was great, Somebody asked me, what do you miss about England, or what did you miss about England? And I said, 1973.
Is that your way into music? Bowie?
Well, no, I think my way into music was I had some great friends in a band called the Lepers in Colchester, and I wanted to be in their band because they were great, and you know, they became a group called Modern English, who signed to 4AD and released lots and lots of albums and songs over the time, had a massive hit in America, but they always remained friends, and I always wanted to be in their band. But somebody else bought a keyboard before me and so joined their band before me. So I never got in. And so I formed my own band, you know, and they were very basic, 3 chords, dung, 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 dung. You know, and I went, yeah, I could do that. That's what I'm going to do. So, I wanted to get, but I always wanted to be John Lennon, never good enough, never was going to be. But I think every kid dreams of being Lennon, you know, if he loves music, you know. And it's all that Beatles, the Bowie, my friends, I just thought, yeah.
Can I go back to the language stuff we were talking about? Because in terms of the Beatles' writings and the impact that Lennon had in particular in the music scene, it always strikes me that I don't know if I'm right, but it strikes me that he was responsible for a very structural change in how lyrics were written, in terms of making a move from the very simple narratives, "She loves you," etc. Very, very simple, romantic.
Well, what he did
writing in first person and about this girl, and it's all the dynamic was always that one-sided, and he was one of the first to turn it upside down and sing "I'm a loser."
Yeah, but what he actually did was he actually said in an interview, if I remember correctly, I may be wrong, but I'm sure it was Lennon, who said that, I think it was the song in my life, where he said, "Oh, I really like that because I started using the word I." And I actually said to a friend of mine who wrote a poem. I'm not a poet. I just happen to write some poetry sometime. But a friend of mine wrote a poem and sent it to me. Not a poem, a prose. And I said, "Oh, you should change the he to I, and it'll be so much better because it is about you." And Lennon just suddenly went, "I'm going to write about me. I'm going to write about, even if I write, you know, even if people will find it hard, you know." And even when he's saying everybody had a wet dream, he's talking about himself. So we know afterwards. I always got the feeling that, you know, if Paul was the greater craftsman, Lennon was by far the better artist. But I still think I owe a great deal to Ringo Starr for having changed the English literature.
Ringo,
because,
what, 8 days a week?
Hard Day's Night.
Hard Day's Night, that's the one.
And 8 days a week.
Is that his as well? I think so, yeah.
And John Lennon, when he did the White Album, did a song called The Tibetan Book of the Dead.
Tomorrow, is it Tomorrow Never Knows?
Yeah, because he said to Ringo...
that's from Revolver.
What do you think? Sorry, from Revolver. He said to Ringo, "What do you reckon? Tibetan Book of the Dead, it's great." And Ringo turned around and said to him, "Oh, Tomorrow Never Knows," which actually means let's wait for tomorrow and see what we think of it. But Lennon just went, "Wow."
Such a terrible phrase.
And I think Ringo had all these great expressions that he was brought up with. My mum used to have these great expressions when she used to get.
So do you think that's not a turn of phrase that he created at the spur of the moment? Or is that an old expression?
I don't know. I think it's something that maybe Ringo had heard in the pubs when he was younger.
I think it was a type of that was quiet, but had a fair amount going on up there. And then he come out with these gems.
Well, where he says something, "Oh, it's been a hard day's night," that's the sort of thing that you'd hear in a pub in Liverpool.
Oh, right.
Or if you're in a Colchester pub, you might hear, "God, I've been working 8 days a week." But that's the sort of thing you might have heard. You know, it's something that you might have heard every day people would come out with, my mum used to say, one of the Spaceman songs is called It's Christmas Day Tomorrow. Because my mum, without fail, on the 24th of December every year would drive us all mad by saying, it's Christmas Day tomorrow.
The whole day.
I used to think, wonderful expression, it's Christmas Day tomorrow. Well,
we've got nothing to worry about.
Yeah, no, but it's. I think
was that the excuse to be difficult with you? Don't worry, I'm being difficult to you now. It's Christmas Day tomorrow. You should.
No, I think my mum was just she was a bit mad as a snake, and just sort of had these strange expressions. He's a bloody Trojan. I just go, what are you talking about, Mum? And she'd go, he's a Trojan, those people who bloody took that horse in, idiot. In other words, instead of saying he's an idiot, she'd say he's a Trojan.
I'm adopting that one.
And all these sort of things that she'd and she'd go, to each his own poison. Not to each his own way or his own belief, but to each his own poison.
That's good. That's rich.
Wow. I used to go, but these were the expressions. It was most probably not her expression. It was most probably somebody had said it in a pub, and it became that sort of phrase.
The pub was
and
the internet was the internet of the 60s, wasn't it?
Well, I always used to see Facebook, and I still do as a way as going to the pub. I'll go on the Facebook for 15 minutes, and I go down the pub, having a chat, and then coming home.
Come home full of new expressions and ways of talking.
Or ideas or whatever. Yeah, or whatever, And I think that the Beatles were very attuned to that. All of them were. All four of them.
Yeah, and it's an incredible meeting of four people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And and I think you'll find there's a lot of very bad The Beatles meets Joe Meek in my Spaceman. I always like to think, it's sort of like, okay, I'm not very subtle about where I get my influences sometimes. So I'm quite happy to go. If someone says, this sounds like this, I go, yeah, most probably does. But what can I do about it? That's just the way I am.
Well done. That's where I got it from.
Yeah, that's where I got it from. So, and
fantastic. We touched on potentially my favorite musical subject ever. The Beatles means
of course. I mean, if you just want to watch a great film and just waste an hour, not even waste, just to live great for an hour and a half, watch Hard Day's Night by Richard Lester, and just go, yeah. That's what music and rock and roll and life and having a laugh and, just and being alive is all about. Let's watch Hard Day's Night. It's great. And it's not even about we're superstars or being, because the four of them don't actually act like superstars in the film. Yeah. They act like just lads, just
they're like becoming main culture, being completely counterculture.
Yes, that was it, yeah. How counterculture was that film? How counterculture were they? They were the mainstream band that said at the height, we're going to stop playing live. And you've got people like Mick Jagger still doing it at 74 and Charlie Watts at 80,
Yeah.
So I'm in a way, I've always been pleased that the Beatles stopped in 1970.
Yeah, it was a fantastic move.
Yeah, well, they didn't mean to, I don't think, but it just sort of worked out that way.
Well, I think for a month or two, a couple of Lennon and McCartney thought, I'm fucked off. I don't want to deal with this anymore. They'd obviously regret a couple of months later, or maybe a year or two later. They ended up making up like 74, 75. They got back together. And have you heard the jam sessions they put on together after that?
No, I haven't actually.
There's a couple of very messy, very, very messy jam sessions. I'll forward it to you. it's
thank you. I'd love
not particularly
I'd love
pleasant,
that.
but they're fun.
That's all right. I'd love it
to hear them play together.
Yeah, I'd love that. So, but anyway, if you get to, I hope you do get to talk to Mocha.
Yes, absolutely.
And I hope you do an interview. He's a brilliant, he speaks English like an Englishman, French like a Frenchman, but his English is absolutely perfect. And
I'm so thankful
I know he's
of you and just like offering me your time initially to talk about somebody else, but I rarely arrange conversations that are this impromptu and this improvised. I'm always like spending a lot more time researching than I'd like to, and then it feels like
this is great. This is super spontaneous. This is like fantastic. Two people chatting about music and culture and words and bands. This is what. This is this sort of thing that I stumble on the internet. Like, oh, this is interesting. Watching an Orson Welles interview, and Orson Welles was going, "Yeah, I know what you're going to ask me, but no." And he just went on to one and just told fabulous little stories and things that he was doing and how it used to be. And I just went, "Oh, I was lost for about half an hour. I loved it. I thought it was."
But sorry, I interrupted you while you were gonna.
Well, when you speak, you'll like hello from me. He'll definitely chat to you because I just know the guy. He is a wonderful person. He's elegance himself. I could never say enough good things about him. He's one of the best musicians and one of the nicest people I've ever met. So there you go.
I look forward to.
And I think you'll.
But even more, it was an amazing pleasure speaking to you, Stephen.
Same for me. Nice to know that actually we are going via satellite, but you are actually just about 40 minutes that way.
Yeah,
just around the corner.
Well, let's have a
lovely Saturday. Keep in touch. Please send me the link. And when the Spaceman album has been finished and is on vinyl,
yes.
I will save a copy for you.
Yes.
I will save you a copy.
Fantastic.
And because it will be made for vinyl. And it's going to be called 6 Million Miles from Nowhere.
Oh.
So there you go. You're the first person to know the title.
Breaking news.
6 Million Miles from Nowhere, the Spaceman. Okay, take care.
Thank you very much, Stephen. You're a gentleman.
My pleasure. Okay. Yes. Bye-bye now.
Thanks.
Bye.
Big kiss. Bye.
Big kiss. Bye.